Welcome, guys, to the Cocktail Podcast. My name's Andre Orchard. I've got my bar supervisor, Zach, in. Thank you for coming in on the day off.
Thank you for having me. No,
That's
pleasure.
right. We're in a different location today.
Yeah.
As we came in and expected the bar to be closed, but there were people in the bar. So instead, we're recording in our restaurant.
Yeah.
Which
change of scenery.
Yeah, I know. It's the first time I would have ever made cocktails in a restaurant. So that was very interesting. So today, first cocktail we're going to be doing is an old fashioned.
Yeah.
So you made me a very good old fashioned when I came in with my mum for dinner.
Yeah, I like to think so. It's actually a recipe I stole from James, your last guest. So, because for me, like before, before I came here, I was a party bartender, right? So I didn't make old fashions or anything like that. And then, we're coming in here, people asking for classics, and martinis and old fashions, for example. I don't have a clue. So a lot of it I followed from James and maybe adapted and twisted a little bit. Which you might see in a variation. But I learned a lot from him and learned a lot here. So hopefully live up to that standard.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. You make way better old fashions than me. So I thought it would be a good episode to do it because if I do mess up anything up, then you'll be here to be my saving grace as such.
I appreciate that. I mean, I'm not. I mean, you drink more whiskey than me, though, right?
Yeah, but I've only recently gone into it.
Right. So. I mean, you're younger as well. I mean, for me, I can't do it with whiskey. Can't do it. Just can't drink it straight.
I mean, I actually got into drinking whiskey just because I started drinking tequila because of James.
Mm-hmm.
So I started drinking tequila, and then I was like, oh, that's not too bad. And then one of my best mates was like, oh, you don't like whiskey? I drink whiskey neat all the time. And he would like go through a bottle of Jameson's in an evening by himself.
Oh, wow.
And so we went out drinking. I had some Jameson's on ice. I was like, actually, it's not horrendous. It's not as bad as I was expecting because it's quite sweeter. It's not very peaty.
Okay.
And his evening was basically trying to introduce me to whiskey. So he gave me like Woodford Reserve bourbon. We drank old fashions. We had a Negroni in between to switch it up. So yeah, it was a fairly interesting evening.
Yeah,
I actually used, they were doing the Negroni trail in Exeter.
Yes.
I was meant to buy a ticket. So for reference, they were doing loads of restaurants and bars were doing a Negroni trail in Exeter where you could turn up, and if you had a ticket, which was free to enter, you could get a £5 Negroni anywhere. And I was like, oh, it's on Eventbrite. I'm sure it's not going to be that popular. Like, I'll just buy it one in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. Went to go buy it on the night. Completely sold out.
Wow.
So I had to borrow Matt Williamson's Negroni trail tickets to get a £5 Negroni and croquettes. So yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it was so popular. I mean, I never hear about the incentive, but I don't think I served anymore for it. But maybe it was more incentive extra.
Not many people came here.
No. Quite far out, aren't we, for drinkers? Really.
Yeah, true. We were like the furthest out from Exeter, whereas you could hit all of them in one evening.
Yeah, fair.
Negronis.
Yeah, I love Negroni. Really, really do enjoy Negroni. But that's another drink I started enjoying recently, purely from working here. I think I just love the sweetness and the bitterness of it, like the combination of both. Works really well. I'm a gin drinker as well. Love a G&T. There was a few years ago that I was only drinking Strongbow dark fruits and VKs on nights out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love a VK, but
always.
I know I've got to grow up a little bit and be a proper bartender.
That's right. As they say. You don't have to like drink bitter drinks or anything horrible.
No. Yeah, that's true. But you got to train your palate a little bit, haven't you? Like, let's go back to the whole whiskey thing. Like for me, when I taste whiskey, I can't appreciate it. I don't know what it is. But a good cognac or brandy any day of the week. Yeah, love it. But maybe it's because it's sweeter. I think that's what it's coming down to.
It might be, yeah. And like you should probably do similar. Like start with like bourbon or like Irish blended whiskey, stuff like that.
Okay.
Or rather than going for like Islay whiskies or single malt. I mean, the Dalwhinnie we have is really nice.
Okay.
And the what do you call it? The Glenmorangie is okay as well. It's not very peaty. All the other ones have a bit of peat in there, so they leave quite a strong finish. But I still don't really drink a few whiskies. My dad has a couple of bottles at home, and one of the bottles I brought in today, Johnny Walker Black, it's like nearly full because I've tried it once and I was like, I'm just going to put that to one side and come back to it later. I'm just never have.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
interesting.
Right. Let's get on with this old fashioned.
Yeah.
So
let's do it.
Traditionally, right? Bourbon, sugar, Angostura bitters, a bit of orange, essentially.
Potentially, yeah.
And there's a lot of recipes online that say, I'll add like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of sugar and then a couple of dashes of Angostura bitters. But we tend to do it a bit differently here.
Yes, yeah. So the technique was taught by James. So it's where we use one of these, put the brown sugar cube on top, get the Angostura bitters, and then we just dash on top. I don't want to do the hand gesture, but the Angostura bitters on top. And you can go as long as you like, really. The sugar only has like apparently a maximum absorption. I don't know what the science is behind this,
Yeah,
but for me, I've had a sustained, consistent old fashioned by doing it this way. Um, sugar cubes, like brown sugar like this, it's a bit more refined, a little bit nicer in the drink. The only kind of downside to it is it can vary in quantity of the amount of sugar you put into it, just because it's based on the size and stuff. The cubes, you've got to have your eye on that, really. But I mean, yeah, it's worked out really well so far. It helps break down the sugar a little bit, so it's easier to mash. I'm still doing the gestures. Yeah.
So yeah, in essence, you have the cocktail napkin on top, so that when you put the Angostura bitters and soak the sugar cube, when it stops absorbing it, the rest will be absorbed into the sugar cube. So there's not too many bitters going into the drink.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So right, well let's get onto that.
Yeah.
I'll grab this bad boy. You ready to grab the bitters?
Absolutely.
Cheers, mate. I also brought us a new bottle of Maker's Mark because I noticed the other one we had didn't have enough for tall old fashions in it.
Okay.
But as I was telling you the other day, when I watched a video online about how Maker's Mark was made, I still find it weird that every single bottle cap is different because they're hand dipped.
Right.
Not an advert for bourbon or Maker's Mark at all. But yeah, when you get a bottle of Maker's Mark, if you have a look at like the wax thing, everyone will be like slightly different because they will just dip it in and then twist it up. It's very cool to watch.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I didn't realize it was real candle wax. To be honest.
Yeah.
I always have an issue though when I'm opening up a new bottle in the evening. That I tend to get candle wax where my eyes swell. So I'm glad it's red, so I can actually find it again.
Yeah, well, I might get candle wax all over this table. Front of house won't be happy.
When the front of the house ever happy.
Well, they're not here, are they?
That's it. What they don't know can't hurt.
Exactly. All right.
Cool.
So
straight away you can see it's absorbed in, can't you?
Yeah. So I don't know whether you were able to see that on camera, but there's a couple dots fully soaked in.
Yeah. I think your aim is definitely better than mine because if you look at mine, I've definitely missed.
It's all those hand gestures.
Quite a bit there. Yeah, you think by now I've had lots of practice, but clearly it doesn't come all the way through.
Apparently not. If you come to Winslade, order an old fashioned. So if we get enough practice. Where are the muddlers?
Where is the muddler?
Is it still on the table outside?
I thought I brought it in. Yeah, it's over there, look.
Oh.
That table there.
Go get that one. Someone's going to come in for a meal and it's just going to have like random bar equipment all over the space.
Yeah, I mean, we do have more than one muddler, so I should have brought two through. That's why sharing's caring, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, I mean, before we even go into that stage, I should have said before we crush it up, I'd like to get a nice little bit of orange in there as well. So some people would just chuck it in. I like to kind of get a little bit more oil out than that.
Okay. So what you
So I press the orange peel down.
Get
Yeah, just get a bit more of the oils out. Get it infusing the Angostura straight away. And sugar as well.
I've seen some people as well put like water or soda in the glass when they have their sugar in order to get it dilute property.
Yeah, sure.
Properly even.
Or for old fashions as well.
Yeah. They were like, if I put a bit of soda in, it means that the sugar can dilute a bit before it goes into the bourbon, because obviously there's not as much water in the actual alcohol itself, so it won't dilute as much.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I find if you do the process enough, you stir it properly, you've got a good technique, things like that. I've not had an issue with sugar being still at the bottom. So I'd worry if I add soda water or any water to it dilute it, I would over dilute the cocktail when it came to it, because it is about that silkiness, isn't it, coming through?
I should have mentioned before, old fashioned tend to be served in a frozen like rocks glass. So I did put these in our freezer, but us having to move everything has kind of made them. They're still cold. They just don't look as frozen as they did before. We put ice in them to keep. And if you don't want to put them in your freezer at home because you're worried about your glassware, just put some ice in it and then like swirl it around and it will cool it all down. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite influencers that makes cocktail on TikTok and Instagram. He says his quote is, "Don't be a poop, freeze your coop."
Nice.
That's what I live my life by now.
Who was that?
Do you like his name now? I will get it up.
Yeah, go on. Get it up for me.
I'm really terrible when it comes to influencer names. Okay, I can't remember his name.
Okay, yeah,
I can't remember. I can't remember his name.
That's
but
right.
I will find it and
yeah,
then I will
Zach
send
will
it
send
to
me a
you.
message and I'll put it on the screen.
We can put it in the edit.
Yeah, there you go, sorted. So, ice in. I'm just going to use the ice from here.
That's a risky game.
Yeah, why? Because of the water that's really
Yeah, it's water in the ice.
I know, mate.
In the ice.
And then it's 50 ml of bourbon.
Absolutely.
Spilling it all over the table.
Spillage is leakage, isn't that? Is that
Oh,
the
God.
saying? Can't do that in public. Well, definitely not at work anyway.
That's right, restaurant's closed. I'll just send the managers a message that this table needs to be cleaned out. For no particular reason.
Cool. So
you're going to need a wee bit more ice in there.
Absolutely. Get this up for you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh no, it's what I do.
Would you like some ice in yours?
Absolutely.
I noticed you put quite a lot of ice in your when you're stirring drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. So
about that?
you know the whole it's perfect. You know the whole like philosophy of more ice, less dilution, and all that sort of jazz. Really. Yeah, for me, I want it to rise up a little bit. I want to be chilled and be over diluted. I don't want the liquids to fight with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the pièce de résistance is a couple of dashes of that.
Orange bitters.
Orange bitters. I bet there's some people out there be watching thinking, what is he doing? What is he doing? Well, you know, I like to live life on the edge and elevate the orange a bit more. And then this one, because there's that famous YouTube video of that lady making a old fashioned. She gets like a whole cherry and like a whole liter of bourbon. Have you ever seen that? Quite classic, but yeah, it's really, really good. And she's like, yeah, just a couple of ounces of bourbon, and she puts the whole bottle in.
Oh god!
And then she crushes up that standard cocktail cherries. But these cherries, the alcohol from this, James showed me this. A few bar spoons of that instead of crushing any cherries into it.
Well, it's soaked in a kirsch, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and
so they're kirsch cherries.
And those couple spoons of alcohol added into it, the flavour is just really unique. It works so well with the orange bitters, with the Angostura. Everything really kind of marries together. It's really hard to stir from this angle.
It's because the bars are really high.
Yeah.
So how would people know when it's adequately chilled and the sugar is adequately diluted?
Well, the sugar, you should have worked it enough for it to dilute itself. I mean, some bartenders like to be like, I count how many times I spin it and stuff like that. I mean, on a busy shift, if you can do that, then you got a better brain than me.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to watch it double in size. Once it gets double in size, you know you're ready to go then. Now, usually I would use tongs, but we don't have tongs, so.
I do have tongs over there.
You do? Oh, okay.
Do you want to go get them?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
See, I'm thinking ahead. See, when I make them, because I've had a few in my time, I like to try it. And then know whether it needs anything more, whether I need to lift up more of the sugar.
Well, how are you finding it so far? What was your initial thoughts when you first tasted it?
Yeah, no, it's nice. I think I probably should have put the bourbon in with the sugar before the ice.
Okay.
Let that sit for a little bit. Because so James always says when we're doing old fashions that what was it? I can't even remember what I was going to say. James' pieces of advice just come and go, really.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, so like once you pour it over the ice, instantly you have to start working it because the ice then is going to start diluting because it's warmed up from the liquid, things like that. So if you just build the drink first, then add your ice right towards the end, that for me, I think it gives you a little bit more time and a little bit less chance for error. Yeah,
that was it. I remembered what it was now. James always said that old fashioned should take 10 minutes to make.
10 minutes.
Because he said you'll have 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have cooling down the glass. I'll give you the orange so you can do your heel. Yeah, cooling down the glass, mixing it properly. And you mentioned on the other episode, if a bartender's busy, you're that cunt that comes up to the bar and orders an old fashioned when you see he's got like 5 tickets on. I could do an old fashioned. It's just going to have sugar syrup in it. Because he was like, there's no way I'm spending 10 minutes on a drink because he would like it to as
Yeah.
opposed to doing it properly.
No, fair enough. But do you think most customers will want to wait 10 minutes for their drink?
Well, I mean,
Done
yesterday with busy shift, and they were waiting 15 minutes for like a simple coffee. So, you know, if someone would have ordered an old fashioned yesterday, they definitely would have heard some frustration from behind the bar.
I can imagine.
So at the end there, we just peeled the orange peel and squeezed it to express all the oils over it, and then wiped the edge of the glass and just let it sit in the drink.
Yes.
Now we'll sit down and drink it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's the best part, if you want.
That chair's going to be very uneven. Yeah, I know. Right, cheers.
Cheers. That's good.
Yeah, really nice. I like as well that our ice cubes are slowly getting more and more clear.
Yes, you've been using hot water in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw you doing that actually recently. Yeah, it's really good. I just don't have the patience.
Yeah, no, it has been ruining our ice molds though.
Yeah.
They've all been cracking.
Yeah, we need to get some more equipment in, don't we? Because there has been some issues with ice molds cracking and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, we need to up our ice game, don't we, a little bit more?
Yeah, there was do you know Vlad the Sick Bartender? Or Vlad Slick Bartender?
No.
So also a guy who does like TikTok and Instagram and all of those for cocktails. And the way that he says you kind of got to do it is you've got to get a massive thing to freeze a massive amount of ice, and it has to do with unidirectional freezing. So if it freezes from one side quicker than another, it will trap air in there and it won't make it clear.
Okay.
If it freezes all in the same direction, it should be clear, and then you can trim this big ice block down. I really can't be asked to get a massive piece of ice and cut each individual one, but it's what they do in order to get proper clear ice.
Yeah.
And I sent James I think it was when Kat was still here. I sent her like a little brass press thing that you could put an ice cube on it, and because it was brass, it would melt the ice, and you could have like cool honeycomb patterns on the ice. Which I think would be really cool.
Yeah, that's something that Matt, the manager here, wants to do. The new kind of menu that's being developed at the minute. He was thinking about getting the Wednesday Manor logo. And then really on the brass effect and having that on the ice, I think would be really, really cool.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, we definitely should up our ice game a little bit. When I see influencers and stuff on Instagram, they're making their cocktails. I find that they're using big cubes of ice and you've got the ice picks, and then just picking at it and then just chuck it into the shaker. And because our ice, you probably saw from the start of the video, is quite small, isn't it? It's because we use it for everything. It's soft drinks, for shaking, for smoothies, whatever. That's why it's set at that standard size. But I've shaken cocktails with big cubes of ice before, and I find like it's such a better drink, especially if you're using anything with egg white. We're trying to get as much air into the drink as possible. The bigger the ice cube, really better effect it has.
Yeah, there's techniques you can do though with ice cubes. You can do like one big and one small.
Okay.
And then when you shake that with egg whites, it like supposedly it better and creates more air within it.
Okay.
Which I thought was really interesting. And you're meant to like shake it until the small one like dissolves.
Yeah, sure.
And then you can obviously hear the difference, when it's done. And also dry shaking to emulsify the egg whites.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so one of the questions that I wanted to ask when I was thinking, it's been a very busy week of work, so I've had to like do some thinking on what questions I was going to ask while on shift.
Sure.
So you used to, was it an Instagram or a YouTube that you used to do cocktails on?
Instagram account, yeah. It was Zach's Cocktails when I was 16. Started that.
Is it still up, or is it taken?
No. It's still the same profile. I just changed the name. But yeah, I stopped doing that. I think maybe when I was about 20, maybe a bit earlier. Yeah, I mean, it started off. So that was.
Hello. That's all right. What? You're right. She's not okay.
What was that about?
Oh, I should have locked the door. Anyway, carry on. So it started off.
Yeah, so it started off. It started when I was 16. It was during the whole era when Tipsy Bartender was making cocktails on YouTube, right? If you grew up watching those. But yeah, I was really, really into them. And cocktails on Instagram at that point, where you take a picture of a really nice looking drink, because this is before reels and even videos weren't even a big thing back then. And yeah, you just upload it and you would tag Tipsy Bartender, and he would share your content onto his page. And I did that with some drinks. I think my first drink I did for that was a cocktail using Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Nice.
Right. So yeah, I mean cocktails. I mean, as I say, I'm a party bartender at heart, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that sort of what I would say an Instagram bartender.
Yeah.
You know, I love making drinks that visually look amazing, taste amazing. And I was especially at that age, I was never really into the whole refinement of a drink. Like, you know, we're saying it's got to be this and that, and it's just perfect technique for it. And it's not exactly that drink or whatever because it was made in the 1890s and it's been exactly the same all the way through. And it's like, off. You know, that, I mean, and I can understand how people appreciate it, especially now I got a little bit older. But at the time, I was like, yeah, why not? Why not chuck some Ben and Jerry's in a cocktail?
Yeah,
and I think I had like chocolate liqueur and white chocolate vodka in it and fluff, you know, the marshmallow spread, chuck that in there as well.
Did it taste good?
Yeah, it was
very sweet, I imagine.
Yeah, diabetes in a glass. But yeah, it was great. And he shared that onto his page and tagged me, and I think that one got like 15,000 likes, and you know, in came the followers then. And then another one got shared, and there was one cocktail that I made. I can't remember what I put into it. I mean, in all honesty, I'm pretty sure it was just food coloring most of it, because I was only quite young, so I wasn't going to buy all the alcohol. But I kind of knew like kind of how much what alcohols would layer on top of stuff like that. But I got a cocktail that was 6 colors, going through layered up, and I launched that cocktail. No idea, because obviously we're in Britain, but that was the same day that gay marriage got
it was a
legalized. Yeah, it got legalized in the States, and I made this rainbow cocktail.
Got legalized, not illegalized.
Yeah, legalized.
Cool, just checking.
No. Legalized. Sorry, yeah, it got legalized in the States, and they made this drink, and it was complete coincidence. And yeah, he just shared it, and it just blew up, and it was great. And because it was all rainbow colors and stuff, and I was like, wow, that's amazing timing. And it brought a lot of people a lot of happiness and stuff, and they saw the picture, and then it went from there, and yeah, did a few drinks there. I had like a stint where I was going to do an ad for Amigos beer at one point. Yeah, which was really random. That never came to fruition though. But
Amigos, the was it? Is that the beer they sell in like Aldi or Lidl?
Yeah, they probably do. To be fair,
I think they sell it now.
It was tequila beer, but it's not Desperados.
It's similar to Desperados.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. And what I find interesting about Desperados, on a separate note, everybody thinks it has tequila in the beer.
Yeah, doesn't.
But it's just beer aged in tequila barrels.
Is it? I thought it was tequila flavoring.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah, I generally think it wouldn't be anywhere near as complex as that.
No. I thought they just put the beer in the barrels that they aged the tequila in, and then that got the flavor.
I mean, that would be fantastic.
That'd be a really cool way to do it.
Really good.
If they don't do it that way,
yeah, true. I mean, does would lager go in a wooden barrel though?
Probably. I have no idea about how it would work with all the pressure.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's be pretty strong wood.
I mean, how do they do it with it like ales though?
Well, ales aren't carbonated, are they? Slightly, maybe some are slightly carbonated and stuff, but
not as much as a lager.
Yeah, I mean, you might find traditional ales will probably all completely flat, and you know, maybe now because some of them are a little bit naturally carbonated from the fermentation and stuff, that they have to be in a pressurized metal container. But that's someone who has better cellar knowledge than me.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. We don't even have draft here at the manor, so
yeah.
We don't have that wealth of knowledge.
In honesty, I used to run or supervisor of a bar on the quay called the Waterfront. Have you ever been there? Yeah. And that's got a massive cellar in it and had real ale operation, big lager taps, stuff like that. And yeah, I really enjoyed the maintenance of real ale. You know, when you got to tap it and let it rest. Well, you rack it first, and then wait 24 hours. Then you got to tap it, let it rest 24 hours, and then it's ready to go. And every time the barrel runs out, you've got to clean the line. You've got to hand pump the cleaner through. And sometimes you'll be in a busy Saturday shift. You need to put a new barrel, ramming it through. Come on.
Bit of a workout.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed that. But for me, it's always been about cocktails, and it's where it started was that journey with Tipsy Bartender, showing my stuff, and then getting a sponsor called Taste My Bar. It was like an international group of influencer bartenders. Because at the time, Tipsy Bartender was the biggest name in that category. Yeah. And there was some other bartenders on there. I can't remember their name. One bartender called Let's Turn Up in that group. He was definitely one of my favorite drinks he made, and all their drinks, right, were just like Kool-Aid and Jolly Rancher sweets and stuff like that. But they were really aesthetically pleasing, and it was pleasing to the American market. I think with the British market a little bit, like cocktails in the UK are about 10 years behind in some areas.
They're very. I mean, it's not as popular,
No.
and it's very difficult to get someone who just goes down to the pub, just have a couple of pints, to go for a cocktail.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I would have never really gotten into drinking cocktails before working here. I'd still have like one or two. I didn't maybe have like a mojito or like a dark and stormy or something along the lines of that. But I would by no means drink like an old fashioned. I just thought it was something that really pompous people drank. And now I realise it's literally just bourbon sweetened with a bit of orange. So why did you stop doing it? Where did it like?
For me, I fell out of love with cocktail bartending a little bit. I didn't stop doing it. I just found that the money was in management, and my life got a bit busier. I moved around quite a bit, so I was working in Exeter, and that's when it was at its height, I think. I left Exeter, went on to Bristol, and then became a general manager of a bar in Bristol at 19 years old. The person who hired me didn't even know how old I was until 2 weeks in. She actually asked how old I was. I was like, yeah, I'm 19. And she was shocked. So so I was a GM of that venue. I didn't like it very much and stayed very long. It was weird practices and stuff like that. So I mean, after then, I've just been a manager ever since. And once I left there, I went on to Zante, worked in Zante. Kind of started the cocktails again a little bit there, but mostly partying, to be honest. And then back into managerial stuff. Back into managerial stuff. And then because I'm now at uni, I couldn't be a manager. I did a year of being a manager of a restaurant while at uni, and that was tough.
I can imagine. Yeah,
and I miss cocktails. I miss just the simple life of coming in, getting your prep done, creating some really fun drinks, chatting to customers at the bar, and just delivering a really nice product. I missed that. So then I had a conversation with James, and here I am, almost a year and a half later.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah. So that was the journey. It's going down too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. The thing is, though, I don't even know what time we made it, so I don't know how fast we're drinking it either.
When we start like falling asleep or like stumbling over, we'll find out then.
Yeah, well, you got your glass of water to keep you somewhat alive.
Yes. Well, I've got to go to the gym afterwards because I'm going out for dinner tonight with some friends.
In Bristol, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that's complicated. That's another thing about being a bartender, right? Is balancing gym and work is hard. I mean, if a normal person, when alcohol isn't involved, it's great. But I've got to taste products all the time, and we do this podcast or might come for training day and stuff like that, and there's always alcohol involved in it some way or another. So just trying to balance that and get that kind of lifestyle in, difficult. But
I find it's difficult to balance social life, working, gym, and like general keeping up with like what you need to do in your house. And like obviously everybody kind of has those issues when they go to work. Like if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're out 8 hours of the day, it's going to be very difficult to try and balance your time and manage it properly. But what's really weird for us, like say for example me this week, tomorrow I'm working 4 until close, which will probably be until like midnight depending on how busy it is. Or like last night I was working 9 till 9 pretty much, 12-hour shift, and I'd finished at 1 o'clock in the morning the day before. So I went home, went to bed, had something to eat, not in that order, and so I went to bed at like 2, got up at like 8 o'clock, came into work, worked 12 hours. When I went home I was like, oh yeah, I really want to cook right now, so I just microwaved some chicken, went to bed. Nice. So in terms of that thing, it becomes difficult because you're compressed into such hours, and it's often late hours. If you're in hospitality, people will come to dinner, stay until 10, maybe 11 sometimes, and then you go, right, well, it's going to take me an hour, sometimes maybe even an hour and a half, depending on how busy it is, to close down the bar. So it's a really difficult thing to manage anyway.
100%. It's not an easy life sometimes. I think like when you're working in restaurants, it's not too. It could be worse. I mean, I'd say like finishing about midnight is still really late, and once you get into that used to that pattern, you still think, oh, it's quite late. I've worked in some places, and some bartenders have worked like 5, 6 in the morning. Some even through. There's some clubs in London that go through to like 10, 11 o'clock. I've done that once. I did 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. shift. It was really weird. It was in this club in Vauxhall, and I remember the supervisor saying to me, because I was just bartending at that point, and she came up to me and said, "Are you okay with like being around gay people?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't I be?" No worries. Are you sure? I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then like, cool. And
Was
then
that in the interview?
no, it's like my first shift. I already done my trial shift at that point, and then yeah, then went into the bar. Turned out it was a gay sex party. It was actually one of the only clubs in London that has a sex license.
So yeah, I didn't realize you could have a sex license. So does that mean you can have sex in a private building?
Nope. Well, I mean, yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, not a private setting, but like, yeah, in a private building. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It was mental. Yeah, I remember when the bartender's there, it's like, you just don't look up. Just don't look up. Just carry on serving for the whole shift, and I was there for 12 hours.
Oh god.
I know, it was. I mean, the men look great. They're all wearing. I mean, they're all like buff and all wearing leather and stuff. I was like, I'm sure they're having a great time, but it was crazy.
That's mad though.
Yeah, that was one of the craziest bar shifts I've done in my life.
I want to know what drinks you were serving if someone managed to stay from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m.
I think it was mostly water, to be honest. Yeah, mostly water.
Trying to replenish all those fluids.
Yeah, yeah, it was mostly water, but I think every guy in there was off their face and whatever they snuck in. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know how we got to that, but
no, I don't know.
No idea, but yeah, that was
the mocker conversation threw me off. No, it's because it was working late shifts.
Yeah, late shifts. Yeah, that was yeah. I think I did a couple more shifts there and didn't get back after that.
Did they pay well at least?
No, it was standard bartending wage, but
did you get tips?
I mean, probably not as much a tip as most of the guys in there. I mean, I've never had so much people flirting with me in my life, to be honest. I quite like the attention, so maybe that's why I went back for a couple of days more. And then thought, nah, maybe it's a bit too much now.
They're like, oh, what time do you get off? You're like, oh yeah, 10 a.m. And they're like, all right, no worries, I'll see you in like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's mental. Yeah, that's absolutely mental. I think I've done clubbing late, like, well, not that late, maybe it's like 8 in the morning once. It's just weird. Like, you're getting out of the club and it's just daylight. You're like, what is happening? Really, really weird.
The latest shift I've ever worked, so I finished work at like 4:30. This is when I was working for a nightclub in town. My shift was usually like 9 till 3:30 or 10 till 4:30. Minimum wage, bartender, serving VKs and double rum and cokes in a club.
What club was it?
I won't say, but I'll tell you after.
Okay.
But yeah, so and the clean down at this club was pretty atrocious.
Okay.
Instead of like washing the speed pourers every night, they would just stick them in a massive bucket with soda water, which doesn't actually clean them. And they would cling film all the bottles at the end of the bar. I was like, can you imagine the amount of plastic that's going into those drinks? And served a guy. So he goes, oh yeah, I'll have 2 double rum and cokes. I go, great. We were taught to take the payment, make the drinks, because it's in the club. Anybody can run off and it's difficult.
Yeah, they pay it first kind of thing. Yeah.
So I took his payment and I was so like in the weeds that I just turned around to another guy and go, oh yeah, what can I get you? And the guy was like, oh, you haven't made my drinks. And I go, oh, okay, yeah. And then I tried to charge him twice and I just didn't even remember.
Wow.
So yeah, you got a bit pissed off. Anyway, so 4:30 I finished, got on my car, started driving home, like an A road, national speed limit. And I turned a corner and there was just a car in the middle of the road with like bits everywhere. I was like, shit, someone's got into a crash. Yeah. So I was like, it looks very suspicious because there was a car on the other side who was flashing me. It was a taxi. Taxi guy comes over to me and goes, I just stopped because obviously you have to stop like if there's a crash. And he goes, I've got to get back to work. Are you right to stay here with this guy? I've called the police. Like, blah, blah, blah. So I go, yeah, sure. So I park on my car. The guy comes over and goes, oh, can I use your phone? I was like, why do you need my phone? Oh, I'm just trying to call my mates. I've lost mine. So I go, okay. Tries calling them. None of them pick up.
Right.
And then he was just very frantic, which I mean, bearing in mind he has just crashed into the middle of the road.
Yeah.
You could see that he'd went up one side, caught the end, tried to turn, and then bashed his front into the other side of the road. And his car was just split in the middle.
Okay.
One of his tires was popped. The other like wheel arch was like bent. It looked properly fucked. And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to try and move my car out the road." So he gets in his car to try and start it, and there's oil all out the front of his car on the road.
Right.
And he nearly slips on it trying to get into his car. I was like, "Mate, I would not do that, because if you start it and there's like a spark, it could light it all on fire and the car could explode." He's like, "Oh, no, it'll be fine." His car doesn't start. He goes, "Oh, can you help me push it out of the road?" And so we both like have our feet on the back trying to push this car. I was like, "It's not going to move because like the wheel's fucked. Like there's no way we're going to be able to push it." He was like, "Oh, just give it a try." I think he had his handbrake on and he didn't realise. And so we were both pushing it. And he goes, "Oh, I'm just going to try and lift it." So I think it was like a Vauxhall Corsa. And he goes over to where the oil is at the front of the car and tries fucking picking up the front of the car. And he wasn't like a big guy either. He was very skinny, probably like 21. Very skinny guy, tried to just pick up the car. I was like, "You're going to fuck your back, mate." It's a really weird situation. Still on my phone at this stage. I was like, "Get on my phone back." "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "What's going on?" "Oh, well, I just was driving and then crashed."
Right.
I was like, weird. And it was an entirely weird situation. Police turned up, did a blockade either side, including my car, so I couldn't get out. And I was like, I think he'd been drinking. Like he didn't seem drunk, but the way that he was acting seemed very weird.
Okay.
So they did the breathalyzer, saw the guy get arrested and taken away in his car. And he was telling the police officers that he was driving. All his mates were drunk. He was supposedly going towards Torquay, but he was driving towards Tiverton. Crashed his car. All of his mates got into a car and left.
Yeah.
One of their mates came and picked him up. All of them left. And he stayed with the car because he thought it'd be irresponsible to leave his car in the middle of the road.
Right.
So he was trying to move the car out of the road.
Yeah.
So that he could get a lift and he could go out the way without being caught by the police.
Right.
So yeah, I was just sitting on my car waiting for the police to do all their investigation. Ended up getting home at like 8:39.
Wow.
So it was like a 4.5 hour like period where I was just like dealing with this guy.
Wow. I mean, how long did it take the police to?
It probably took like 45 minutes from when I arrived.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that bad, considering it's Devon.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's not too bad. I thought you were going to turn around and say it was the guy you served who forgot to serve the double rum to.
Oh, that would be funny. Yeah, like if I didn't give you those 2 double rum and cokes, then you would have been fine in a breathalyzer.
I mean, it's quite a good cover story though. If he is lying, that's quite creative.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm trying to get to Torquay." I'm like, "Mate, you're driving the wrong way." Like, nowhere. He was like, "I'm coming from Exeter to go to Torquay." He was going in exactly, even if he was coming from Tiverton, I'm not mistaken, he was still not driving towards Torquay. There was a better way to do it. If he was driving from Exeter, he was completely going the one direction. So, fuck knows.
Oh, fair enough.
Right, I think it's time to go on to the next cocktail.
Okay.
So, next cocktail we're doing is a Trader Fix sour.
Yes.
So, it's doesn't have any egg whites or any like foaming ingredients in it. Okay. And it's like not quite boozy. It's got a couple of different alcohols in it, but there's also sour with a little bit of like salt, a little bit of sweetness as well. It was a very interesting recipe, which is why I really
like the idea of adding salt to a drink, you know. Like I mean, people start adding spice to drinks and stuff like that, and it's just a flavour profile that people neglect, don't they? So,
extra dimension, because
really
cocktails tend to be like a bit sweet, or it's either sweet or it's sour or it's boozy.
Yeah.
Or it's dry. But having like that slight saltiness to it will be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kitchens do it, you know.
Doing our Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
There's no difference. So starts off with 30 ml of blended Scotch. We've got Johnny Walker Black because there was no other whiskey that I had at home. We have no whiskey on the bar that's blended Scotch.
No, it's all single malt Scotch, no? Apart from Jameson's.
Yeah, that's blended. And then we've got single grain, which is the Hague, and then single malt, which there is a difference, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, even my knowledge doesn't go that far. I think, in all honesty, if my knowledge was anything, it'd be gin more than anything else. So
interesting.
Yeah, I kind of worked in a place that makes gin. And the process of it is so simple. And I learned a lot about the categories of gin and like spicy and floral and citrus gins and stuff like that, and how it catches people out if they don't actually buy the right product that they like.
You're doing 15 ml of bourbon. We should have brought a second jigger. It made a load of sense, but oh well.
Yeah, but when do we ever do anything easy?
There is a second jigger behind that mixing glass, actually. I just sorted it.
There you go.
Then 15 ml of cognac.
So what we've got in so far,
You've got blended Scotch whiskey 30 ml,
30 ml.
bourbon 15,
Okay.
cognac 15.
Okay, so we're going into the bounds of above a double.
Then 20 ml of lemon juice.
Okay.
10 ml of almond sugar syrup, or as that calls it, orgy.
Orgy syrup. It's the only time I ever get to have an orgy.
No, I don't know. If you would have looked up from that sex bar, I reckon somebody might have invited you.
Maybe. So, I mean, this is an interesting drink. So how much is this again?
10 ml.
10 ml. Oh, I almost went a bit over there. There you go.
And then it's 10 ml of 1:1.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a very interesting drink because, I mean, you're going in mixing 3 dark spirits. I mean, that's brave.
I know.
Isn't it? Because all heavy hitters themselves, you know.
Yeah, by themselves, they're fucking... like the blended Scotch as well. Not just it has to be blended. It didn't have to be like it couldn't be like a single malt or anything.
Right.
Which is interesting.
I think you find that there's so many people that are in different camps. You know, like I'm just as bad. I'm a cognac camp, right? And you got people that go into the whiskey camp. And you got people that go into the bourbon camp. So you get like bring them all together.
Half a pinch of salt.
I think make a lot of enemies this drink.
I think I put a lot of salt as well. I was like, the thing is though, is that when you grab some salt, there's no definite amount for a pinch.
Right.
So how can you do half a pinch?
True. Depends how big your fingers are.
That's true. Big fingered bartenders, watch out, Zach's after you. Right, and then ice shake.
Ice and shake. You do the honours then. Thank you, sir.
No worries. And then, I'm not sure whether are you that fast about double training?
On camera, yes, but for the purpose of the podcast, no.
Okay. Then I will talk about this up with ice.
Perfect.
We can double strain. We've got the sieve anyway, so. I'm not sure whether I want to try it before I strain it.
It smells great.
It's not very sour though. Is yours sour?
No.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But it's not as sour as I'd expect a normal sour to be. But I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I reckon.
So what is it called again, sorry?
It's called a Trader Vic's sour. So Trader Vic's, I did a little bit of looking into it. Trader Vic's is a cocktail bar in America. And he'd come up with, this is not all going to fit in this one glass.
Oops, spin it over.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Trader Vic's is a...
We have a wet bum now.
Yeah, you did. Where does that come from? Is that from the bottom?
I think it came from the strainer.
Oh no, Zachary.
That's right, I keep me on my toes in the interview.
There you go. But yeah, so it was a cocktail bar, and he's come up with a lot of like unique stuff.
Okay. And
he did an Eastern sour as well, which I think is bourbon orange. He likes putting orange in things, from what I've gathered. I did a little bit of a look on him, and he liked to do a lot of stuff with orange. So I thought this looked really cool. 3 different types of, 2 different types of like whiskey as such, bourbon and blended Scotch, and then having we should have garnished it with a dehydrated lemon slice, but for the sakes of not running to the bar. Thank you.
That's all right.
So much salt.
That's your coaster. So, treat yourselves.
But yeah, I'm surprised. I thought the salt would come through a bit more. Right?
Um,
Cheers.
cheers.
It's a nice colour.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, now I'm getting a proper sip of it.
Yeah.
You definitely get a lot more of the blended Scotch, but it works quite well with the cognac.
Mm. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting hints of everything, really.
I think the orgeat is a little bit lost for me, but there's still that like sweetness coming from it.
I get it. I think it's adding an extra level of nuttiness to the lemon. You know, with lemon, it's just pure sharp, right? And I think with this, I'm just getting a little bit more from it, a little bit smoother the lemon. Maybe that's what the orgeat come into it and just made that a little bit difference. But
it is balanced.
Yeah, it's not far off the same kind of complexity that I'm getting from a Mai Tai, you know, in that sort of aspect. Because instantly, when I think of orgeat syrup, I think of Mai Tai.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's how my brain is wired. But yeah, I'm definitely getting more of. What I think is lost though. I think the bourbon's lost.
Yeah.
In that, in all honesty, I really do get the cognac and the whiskey. I think they work well together, but the bourbon itself doesn't stand out.
Yeah, see, I'm curious if you were to leave the bourbon out, it would actually change the whole dimension of the drink because maybe it is there just in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's just because we had an old fashioned before where
maybe
mass.
Yeah, maybe.
So another question I'd like to ask: so you're co-founder technically of Disco
Loco
in Exeter.
Yes.
And you kind of Exeter House, right?
Yeah.
In essence, create events. People turn up to house DJs, drinks, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Where did the idea come from? Did you ever just? I know you're a house enjoyer yourself.
Yeah.
Did you think there was like a gap in the market, or?
You know, in all honesty, before I started the brands, I had no interest really in house music. I was more R&B and rap music and stuff like that. Like I'm a massive Drake fan. Love Drake. But yeah, where it came from is I was working on Rockfish on the Quay, and the head chef there, his name is Christian. He was soon to be my business partner. He suggested to me because he knew I lived in London for 3 years. He's like, "We should throw our own parties, man." I was like, "That's a pretty good idea." Like I had attempts at that before. So I created a brand called EX1 Social in Exeter ages ago, and it failed. It didn't sell any tickets. I was going to do a Pink Moon. It was supposed to be like a brunch event, going to an after party. The event model itself was proven to work in London. So I learned that experience from, and I wanted to do something for myself. And yeah, I mean, I did loads of events like that in London when I worked for a venue, and when I ran a venue. But yeah, bringing it down here didn't work. Didn't sell any tickets, and it went under, unfortunately. So I was a bit apprehensive about doing an event brand again. But you know, we went with it, and because we kind of brainstormed, we planned it during the first lockdown. And it was like, yeah, it's going to open up at some point. People want to party, and they did. And our first event, Christian was the house music guy.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of the music. He had loads of knowledge about it, knowledge about DJs and stuff like that. And we kind of just learned as we went. You know, we kind of pick up things where we had to like hire equipment for like sound tech, light tech, and then we bought loads of inflatables and did all that sort of stuff. But for me, my responsibility was managing the finances of it, as well as the marketing, advertising, and just kind of having that lead on that. Really,
yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. I did that for it was a year and a half. Did that. Our first event was in Bishop's Belway. It was a festival. So most event brands don't come with the idea of doing an all-day party and the evening thing and calling it like a mini festival. But I mean, it wasn't a festival, but it was just the branding behind it.
It was an entire day of partying branded.
Yeah. So we did one venue, then we went to the second venue, and then we went to the final venue. It went through from 1 p.m. to 3 a.m. It's a long ass day. It was supposed to be the 17th of July, 2021, and then Boris said no.
Yeah, no gatherings.
Yeah, it had to be postponed by another couple of weeks or a month. So we just missed out on our date, and that date in 2021 was the middle of a heat wave. in summer. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, so it happened on the 7th of August 2021 was our first event. Yeah, I mean, we sold 300 tickets for it. Like,
Good for a first event.
yeah, yeah. And then they weren't like cheap tickets either. Like, they were like almost 30 quid, like for all day tickets. And annoyingly, it rained on the day. So I remember in the morning, I was scrambling to find ponchos that we had send Chelsea over, because I was still set at the site. I sent Chelsea over to the range to go get ponchos. And we bought like 30 ponchos, and I think I sold one.
Nice.
I still got them in my attic, I think. I'm a hoarder. I just don't want to. I mean, I paid for it, so I don't throw it away.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure it'll come in handy at some point.
When you're cycling, you're biking, you could wear a different poncho every day.
Yeah,
for a whole month.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was the first event. It went really well. Yeah, I did it for a year and a half. Decided to take some time out of it. So I stepped down as managing director. And my business partner now runs it. So yeah, I'm focused on uni now. So that's what. But it gave us a lot of experience. We did 8 events together. Did events here at Winslow Manor, Buckerell Lodge, and a few club nights and stuff in town. So I've definitely learned a lot of experience from it.
What would you say is like the like number one expense that people wouldn't expect from like running a hosting event, like running an event like that?
It just depends. I mean, from what I've learned, event promoters that are successful have massive social circles. And for me, I don't have a big social circle. I'm a massively social person. I love the industry, and I want to make something for myself. But to do that, you've got to build yourself up, and it depends on how much capital you have from the start, and it depends on the location. If you do it in London, for example, I mean, yes, highly competitive market, right? But you got loads of venues there that are well equipped, look good. You've got massive populations, always keen for a night out. Most people are really keen to try something new. If you can find something quirky and different, people will go to it. But the problem with down in Exeter is the venues here are small. There's not enough of them, and they make enough money as it is because there's not enough clubs here, and there's such a massive student local population all going out. They're going to be around. They don't need promoters. They don't need that. They're fine. There's only a select few clubs that will help you out. And Move is really, really good. So Move on the Quay, they're fantastic. They support local brands and help get promoters up there and stuff like that. And there's some brands become quite big out of it because of Move helping them out. So they're great, and they helped us out and do quite a few events with them as well. But yeah, I think when it comes to finances, it drains a lot of my money out. I didn't make any money out of it, in all honesty. If it wants to, I lost money, but it doesn't matter. I enjoyed it. I had some great times, met some great people, got some great contacts for the future. My plans to have my own venue in the future anyway, so I think it was worth every penny of it. So yeah, it just depends. I mean, anyone in the future wants to do it, what I suggest is make sure you have enough capital to kind of have the money there to put on the event that you want to do. I've always exceeded more than what I could do. I'd plan an event and I wouldn't have the capital there, so I'd have to sell tickets to make that money so that event can go ahead, kind of thing. And then once that event did go ahead, and because I put on more than what it actually was forecasted to sell, I just lost money. But I mean, yeah, you need to have skills of forecasting, definitely. You need to know your market. You need to have good social circles, because you've got big friendship groups, loads of friends around you, you're quite a popular person. They're just going to come to support you, which is amazing. And that could be a couple hundred people just there.
And that's just the start.
Yeah, exactly.
You have your capital to get planning, and then you can do all the marketing.
Yeah, 100%.
But I imagine you probably have some funny stories from running that, and stuff that went wrong, or
oh god,
funny customer experiences.
Yeah.
You can take me through a couple.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. I mean, where do I start? I mean, there was so many great times I had with Loco in the evenings and stuff like that. I mean, it was always a really good crowd, to be honest. I met some really nice people from it. DJ is always really accommodating and great. I mean, when it comes to funny stories, I mean, it's only just kind of been standard drunk antics or drugs up antics that you've had at the event. There would be someone who was just rolling around the floor at some point and was just chundered everywhere. You're like, God's sake. I think we only ever had one fight, and that was on our first ever event, which is a shame, because that guy was really nice for that rest of the event, and then he started on his misses and stuff, and it got really weird towards the end. So the police came down and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I think maybe they were there from the start, so they were just too long drinking. That came out of him. But yeah, it wasn't good. But yeah, he was taken away, escorted by police and stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, that was the only kind of issue we had, because that's another thing you worry about when you do these sort of events is trouble. It brings along. You don't want to get a name for yourself for bringing trouble, especially with venues, because venues are going to look at your brand and they're going to look at the clientele that you bring. So if you're known for bringing really nice people, nice kind of mixed age range, and they're going to spend money, then venues are going to be like, cool, come. But if you're known for bringing people that are going to fight and cause issues and not spend money or stuff like that, as soon as that word gets out there, your brand's finished.
Well, so interesting as well. So, say for example, let's take Baccarat Lodge or Move. When you were arranging to host that event there, would you go, okay, great, like, if you guys are happy for me to host my event here, we'll pay you X amount, or we'll do it. If you guys could do it for free, you can take all the bar profits. All the people that are going to be coming, going to be buying drinks. You're going to make money off of that. Otherwise, quiet at night, I'm just bringing more customers into your place. How did that kind of exchange go down with the venue?
Yeah, so that conversation happened at every event. Essentially, when you start off, clubs are going to be reserved, right? Venues are going to be reserved. So they don't know you. They don't know how many people you can bring. They're not seeing any photos of your events and that. You'll just go into them selling a pitch, but nothing to back it up. So what their fail-safe is they'll say, okay, you can have the venue, but you've got to pay a higher fee, for example, and that pays for like maybe security for the night and exclusive use of the venue, which you got to take a hit on at the start. And we did that a couple of times when we first started off, and Move was really good to us. I mean, we did 2 events with them, proved that we could pack it out, and they didn't charge us after that. So that was really good. When it came to bigger events like Buckwell, you mentioned, we paid a higher fee for that, which is not excruciating, but it's just for exclusive use. And because it's the first time we've done anything on that scale, that was our biggest event. I think that was 500 capacity. Wow. Yeah, so once we did something on that scale, we've not done that. It's uncharted territory. So I think if we pay that, it gives them peace of mind. It's just a little bit extra expense to us, but we can incorporate into the ticket sales and just list it here and there, and go from there, really. But when you get bigger and bigger, then you can start demanding more things. So there are event brands out there that are huge, right? And they'll go into a place and they'll take 20% of the bar take. Yeah. We're nowhere near big enough. I mean, I couldn't go into some venue next to them and be like, so we're going to bring 200-300 people to your venue. I want 20% of the bar, and I'm not paying any higher fee. That's not fair, is it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's about working with venues and creating a better scene for Exeter. It's not about just draining money out of them. It's having a good working relationship with people. And unfortunately, that's the attitude me and Christian took into it at the time. And unfortunately, some venues don't think like that. And we've had quite a few issues and stuff and things, but live and learn. All Exeter really needs and deserves is a better nighttime economy and better venues.
Well, I remember talking to you when you were like doing your marketing for the event, because I got adverts. Liddy, who also works here, my girlfriend, also got adverts on her phone on Facebook for Disco Loco. And funnily enough, the only reason she actually realised it was you was because she goes, "Oh, what's this song? Can you Shazam it?" It was a Camel Fat Dopamine Machine. Yeah. And I go, "Oh, that advert looks familiar." I was like, "I found that one on my phone." I go, "Disco Loco, isn't that what Zach's running?" "Oh yeah, no, it is." And my mum also got it as well, which was funny at the time because I told you and you were like, "Oh, she's not within our age range. We're pushing for Facebook."
Yeah, I mean, that's great to see the ads are working. We spent hundreds, if not thousands of pounds on expensive marketing. Yeah, I know. I hated it, but it is something you got to do in the events industry. Unfortunately, it's so competitive. Like, if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And because I said I don't have the massive social circles, I was trying to build that with Disco Loco. You need to have that initial funding into it. So marketing is a really big thing, especially social media marketing. One thing I would suggest, what I've learned about social media marketing, is putting more money into it doesn't guarantee success. Yeah. That's what I learned the hard way, obviously. What I found with marketing in that sense is if you change the advert up, put new ones in, stuff like that, then you have a better result. You have to put loads of money into it. It means you've got to be constant on your curation. But if you just have the same ad running for such a long period of time, spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on it, it's gonna get a peak and it's just gonna drop because people are just gonna be numb to it because they're gonna see it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, learn that lesson.
It's a good lesson to learn. That.
Yeah, definitely. That's what advice I give out. Just be creative and change content all the time. And then that way you won't rack up a huge bill to Facebook by the end of it.
Yeah, true. For 100 or 200 quid in a couple,
yeah,
in 3, you probably get better results than just spending 600 quid on one.
Yeah, and just creating content, organic content, not using not using templates and stuff like that, or graphics. Just videos, raw videos, and footage and photos and stuff from the event. It really works.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I was actually when I was looking at stuff to talk about on this episode, I went through the Disco Loco like Facebook page and had a look at all the videos that while you were still like active within it, that you kind of posted, and having those like footage of people having really good fun on night out, DJ in the middle of the set, like it creates, people can see what they're getting. Whereas if you just use like a graphic or you use some type of like templated video or something that's like stock footage, it's not going to be as real, and people can go, oh, okay, if I go out on a night out, that's what I'm going to be expecting, and it's real because it's real footage that you've used from past events. So it makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. I mean, when an event creates a poster with DJ names on, unless you got Calvin Harris on there or Fisher, no one gives a shit. No. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't get me wrong. Some Disco Loco DJs are fantastic. I mean, Callum Mabley, he's such an amazing person, and he came to our first event and then became one of our resident DJs. Like, he's an outstanding DJ, and he's really, really good. And his sets just went off every event. It's the same with like Dixie and Puzz Love, the great DJs. Everyone came down to see them. It's always a really good vibe. But I mean, no one knows who they are unless you're their friends. So yeah, again, it's all about the video creation content, bringing more into it. Even videos, DJs, their sets and stuff like that, and just the emotion that they can produce from our people, from the music they play and stuff. That's what makes an event great. Yeah, definitely.
It was funny. I was just thinking about. I went to Buckrow Lodge for a wedding. Met one of the. Okay, this is not my terminology. She called herself one. She called herself a bar wench.
Oh.
And I was like, some connotations there, but if you're happy for me to call you a bar wench, then by all means. And she was like making drinks, and I was really fancying a cocktail later into the evening. So I was trying to look at the bar and trying to figure out how she could make a margarita, but she didn't have any lime juice. She didn't have any limes. Didn't have anything like to make it, but she had tequila and she had Contro. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. Put less Contro, put some lime cordial in there. And it tasted horrendous.
I can imagine.
I was trying to walk her through it. From behind the bar, some drunk fellow being like, yeah, I'm a fucking cocktail bartender. And it tasted horrendous, but she gave it to me for free. Because she was like, nobody else is going to drink that. You take it.
Fair enough. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't trust to drink so much at Buckrow. The Buckrow Lodge were a nightmare to work with. Yeah, they ran out of alcohol so many times during our event, run off to buy more and stuff like that. But...
Well, it's difficult as well for a venue because if you're, okay, so say for example, us here, we go, great, right, we've got enough stock in the stock room to kind of last us a week, right? We've got no more orders coming out, and we go, a group of 20 people, like we had yesterday, they all come in, they all order old fashions. That's like a bottle of bourbon, gone like that.
Yeah, what, and the rest?
And then you go, okay, cool. I've got one more bottle of bourbon in, and then they go, yeah, we'll have 2 cocktails for our welcome drinks. So then you've gone through all your bourbon, you have another drink that you need to make with it, and you're like, oh, fuck. I have no more bourbon, so you're going to have to run out and go and get it. So I get that it's difficult and you don't know what people are going to drink. So
yeah, well, I mean, I get that completely. If someone came in and I was with 20 old fashions, I'm like, well, fair enough, but I don't have that much bourbon. Yeah, when it came to that event, it's like they knew they had 500 people there. Like they knew.
Do you know what they ran out of?
Everything.
Everything.
I think at one point the only spirits they could have was like Bell's whiskey. That's the only thing they had left. Yeah, it was mental, but. It is what it is. I won't say anymore, but yeah, it was a crazy day. Good event though.
Not to diss Bell's whiskey at all, but when I was like 17, 18, I used to have my mates down at the end of my garden. We used to camp out. We used to light like a massive fire and just get drunk. And we ran out of all the alcohol that we brought because we've been drinking since like 5 p.m. It was like 11 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
So I went to my parents and I was like, there any alcohol that you have that you're not going to drink that we could potentially have?
Yeah.
So my dad digs around in his cupboard and finds a bottle of Bell's, gives it to me, and I'm like,
only the best stuff.
I was like, oh, I'm not sure I like whiskey.
Mm.
So we took it down. 3 guys had a sip of it.
Mm.
Everyone hated it. And they were like, I would rather not drink than drink that.
Mm.
So what we did, in this massive, we made like a metal barrel, cut holes in the bottom,
right,
and threw wood in it, so it would create like an air current and create like a vortex.
Yeah.
So it would burn hotter. We would take sips of Bell's, keep it in our mouth, and then like spit it out into the fire and watch it all like grow up over like literally just rise into the fucking sky.
Wow.
And then we started pouring it from the bottom, but it wasn't going that well. And I think it's because we were blowing out, the oxygen was helping it go. And so like half a bottle of Bell's just went like that. My dad was like, fucking hell, you guys drink a lot. We were like, yeah, we do. We're fucking heavyweights, mate. And we were just spitting the fucking whiskey into the fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A waste of whiskey.
I mean, to be fair, we weren't going to drink it anyway, neither was my dad, so it was probably going in there. I don't think
fair.
we even have the bottle anymore. So.
I mean, that's better than me. Like when I was younger, I would just drink anything. I would just raid my parents' cupboard. It's just get a bottle of alcohol out of the cupboard and just replace it with water, and then just drink that at a party or whatever. I remember my dad stitched me up once. I was maybe like 15, 16. He used to ask me for alcohol sometimes, and he sometimes sort me out. And gave me a bottle of Jägermeister for New Year's Eve. And he was like, yeah, you came, mate, enjoy that. I was like, cheers. And so I had it. I was like, palatable. I can cope with that. So I drank the whole bottle. I just chugged it. Neat. I know, honestly. I bet there's some German grandma out there thinking, yeah, I bet you had a good digestive system. Because that's what people forget it is. You know, it's literally it's a after dinner drink for old people in Germany to have so they can have better bowel movements.
Yeah, it's
digestive. But then people are in the club and next they're just shotting it with Red Bull.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a whole bottle of that and got really pissed.
Doesn't surprise me.
Chummed it everywhere, started crying.
That must have been awful coming out. A whole bottle of Jaeger.
Yeah, it was rough. I got kicked out of the house party and slept on a bench outside.
Jesus.
Yeah, waiting for my friends because they wouldn't come get me. They just left me out there.
I bet you said thank you to your dad for finding you that bottle the next.
Yeah, no, I said fuck you. Definitely say thank you. He knew what he was doing. He had a big smirk on his face when I came home.
Speaking of just decking parents' alcohol and just drinking, I had some of my mates. So parents were away.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been invited to a house party that was like half an hour drive away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up getting a lift there. And my mates were like, from another friendship group, oh, if your house is free, we've got to have like a party.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to be there. And one of my friends managed to persuade me for me to leave a key outside, for them to go to my house, start the party within my house. There was only like 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
To start a party within my house while I wasn't there,
right?
While I was at this other party,
mm-hmm.
then I would come home and join back in the party. Yeah. And I got persuaded of that at like the age of 16.
Yeah.
So anyway, I turned up to this party that was happening at my house. They were dancing on my table,
mm-hmm.
Smoking fags inside.
Okay.
And we got out a bottle of alcohol that my dad had that he called Foreskin Cleaner because it was that fucking strong. And he was like, oh yeah, it's sake. And I was like, it's not sake. Sake's rice wine. It's like 14-15%. This was like, it was like Everclear. You know, Everclear?
Yeah.
Fucking literally just pure alcohol.
Yeah.
And we drank like half a bottle of that between us. And the next day I was like, oh fuck, he's going to realise that I drank half of this bottle of whatever.
Mm.
And it had like Japanese writing from it because he got given it from one of his business partners. And I was like, kind of smells like vodka. But I went on Google Translate and translated the Japanese, thinking, if I just buy another bottle, I can just fill his up to whatever the amount it was before, keep the rest of the bottle for me, and order it online by the time they get back.
Mm.
So translated it, the Japanese writing, it said undiluted solution, not for human consumption. And it was the alcohol that they mixed with the fermented rice to dilute the sake with alcohol to get it to the right percentage. It
Right.
was just fucking neat alcohol. So you know when they do gin, they get they mix the botanicals with the alcohol and then they add water to get it to the right percentage.
ethanol, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much like 90 to 95%.
Wow.
It didn't even have a percentage on it.
That's lethal.
And we drank half a bottle of it in the evening, not realizing what it was.
I mean, I suppose you can still see.
Yeah, I mean that does surprise me. You know the whole fact that strong alcohol makes you go blind is because during Prohibition, in order to prevent people moonshining, they would add ingredients to like the liquids that people would use for moonshining that are toxic, and it would cause symptoms like people dying and people going blind.
Wow.
So that's where that comes from. Fun fact.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and so I just mixed fucking vodka into it, and he pulled it out the next night. Like, oh, do you want some? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Couldn't tell the difference.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I mean, yes.
Pretty much.
Fair play. I bet that burned when that went down.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think I probably when I was younger, I had my first shot of Tiki Fire, which is what 70%.
75.5.
Yeah, I was literally on a table dribbling by the end of my night. So I passed out dribble on a table.
We should get a bottle of Tiki Fire for the bar.
Yeah, I know, but we won't. That's the thing. We've got the chartreuse in to make nicer, different ones, nicer but different cocktails. And half a bottle's gone because all the bartenders drink it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same. It would be the same if we get Tiki Fire because we'll be shot on that back as well.
I'm not sure about Tiki Fire.
No.
They used to do shots at my uni in the student bar for £3.50 a shot.
Really? That's really good.
Yeah, it was really good. You get £2 pints as well.
Wow.
So very, very cheap. But if you were feeling a bit spicy and you were on a night out, you would order like three Tiki Fire shots.
Yeah.
And then get the rest of the table to do it. And then you would all do it and then just fucking die afterwards and chase it with your pint. And one of my mates, he started in first year when I was coming to third year. We went to this student bar together, and I go, "Have you had a Tiki Fire yet?" No, what's that? I was like, "You'll love it. Don't you worry. Make sure you have a drink on the side."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What is it? I go, "Really nice rum." Like full on sell it to him. Has the entire shot in one go and nearly vomit straight away.
Yeah, that's borderline bullying.
That's all right though. I'm sure he did it to other people.
Character building.
Yeah. That's all right. He was young. He's got to learn.
Yeah. Learn the hard way.
Are you happy to finish now? I know we've overrun. How long you need to stay for? It's nearly 25 past 1.
Oh yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, because you are trained to catch, don't you? And try and catch the gym.
Try and catch the gym.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
My train's not until 4 from St David's anyway. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all good.
Well, that's a lot. Well, thank you for coming on anyway.
No, thank you.
No, I really appreciate it. And
I hope it was okay. I know it was a bit like moving around and stuff like that. But...
Yeah, no, it was actually quite nice to do it in the restaurant.
Yeah.
I just like having an environment where there's nobody about and you can just chat to you and it doesn't feel awkward for other people and awkward for us and we can just chat about whatever we want.
Yeah, because my eyes will be wandering, watching them follow and stuff like that.
So I mean, it's much nicer. We don't have any background music in here either. So
yeah, nice.
Really nice. Yeah, what do you think about the Trader Vic's sour?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm forgetting it's there. Too busy talking.
I think a little bit pinch more salt, maybe just a bit more bourbon.
Yeah, I'm not really getting any saltiness come through for it.
No, I think there's a slight bit that kind of flattens the flavor profile a bit, but not in a bad way. It smooths it out.
Yeah, I think it counteracts the sweetness, but maybe. But
we should look into putting salts in the cocktail and see how it works out.
Yeah, well, I did it for the the Appleton Mai Tai thing, isn't it? It has I had a bit of salt to the nuts.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What, so you do the smoked almonds, crushed
almonds,
salt?
a bit of salt. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really nice because that also there's salt in the smoked anyway, but that flavour coming through when you smell it, you instant hit the saltiness, then you get the rum, then you get the sweetness.
So for context, Zach and James did a Mai Tai with Appleton's 8-year reserve rum for a competition to try and win a free trip to Jamaica.
To try and win, yeah.
And you got to the regional finals.
Yeah, didn't get through to the. It was a shame because I thought like I delivered to the spec, but the lady who got through, who was the winner of that heat, she created like homemade stuff and there's syrups and things like that, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't accessible, and I just try to make it accessible. Maybe I focus on that too much, but it is what it is. I mean, it was she got through, and but yeah, the guy who won it, I can't remember what drink it was, but again, it was just something really simple but unique ingredients, and that's what kind of wins in competitions. Unfortunately, it's got to be really unique. So I'm more of a garnish guy, and I was building my drink around the meringue and the aesthetics of it. But it really works. I mean, it's interesting because Grace inspired me to put the nuts on top. And once we had that combination with, we had the foam, she had the texture there, from the foam, the egg white I added into it, the egg white, and then you got the saltiness of the nuts, smokiness. That.
So you added oak and smoked bitters in there.
Yeah, oak and smoked bitters as well. Yeah, it was a really complex drink, but it's really tasty. It worked really well. It's a shame we didn't get to go to Jamaica. So I think 5 days in Jamaica, me and James would have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would have gone with James being there. I think that would have been a very interesting situation.
I don't think we would have survived it.
I don't think James would have not been arrested. But yeah, so if you come to Winslade and you want to try